Good morning and welcome to week 2 of our public speaking online class. This week you will want to start on module number 2, which is Informative Speaking Part 1. To access this module, you will click into the weekly module folders on the left-hand side of our Blackboard site and scroll down to module number 2. I do understand that today is a holiday. Happy Memorial Day to all of you. It is completely your choice if you decide to take this day off. However, you need to make sure that you do keep in line with our due date. The due date is still Sunday, May 31st for your first informative speech and any of the assignments and learning activities that are due in the chapter learning units. Let's quickly look at what's due for module number 2, Informative Speaking Part 1. The first thing that you'll see is you will go into the learning unit that discusses the first informative speech assignment. You will be reading Chapter 2. In Chapter 2, you have no activities that you need to complete, but make sure you thoroughly read the chapter. Chapter 13, you need to review again because you're starting your first informative speech. Again, you have no assignments due for Chapter 13, but you need to read your book. Chapter 8 is on organizing and outlining your speech. You do have a discussion board post that's due for Chapter 8. Chapter 9 talks about introductions and conclusions. You also have a discussion board post due for Chapter 9. And then Chapter 12, using presentation aids, and you have no assignments or discussion board posts due for Chapter 12. So for this second module, you have 2 discussion board posts as well as some work that's due early for the first informative speech. So let's go into the module and take a more specific look. You always want to make sure that you start with the learning unit that discusses the informative speech assignment. The learning unit chapters are designed to help you build this first informative speech, but you need to understand the first informative speech first. You will notice that I have some supplemental reading attached in this folder that explains the speech itself. And then your learning activities are your specific purpose and central idea report, a rough draft outline, which I will give you feedback on, and then a final outline will be submitted by May 31st along with the speech. And then you do have speaking note cards. Some of you questioned why we use note cards in your discussion boards, and we use note cards because it helps with delivery skills. Rather than reading word for word off of a paper outline, note cards allow you to be more extemporaneous in your delivery, which means you sound more conversational. And this way you have a few notes in front of you in case you get lost. So let's click into this first informative speech. And we'll click on the speech directions, which is that first Word document, because I'd like to discuss it with you verbally. Okay, the first informative speech is a procedure speech. A procedure or a process speech, in essence, is the how-to speech. It's that first fundamental speech that many public speaking classes teach because it teaches how to build a speech using chronological steps, meaning you cannot progress to step 2 until you have completed step 1. This speech time limit is 3 to 5 minutes in length. Your objectives are to increase your audience's knowledge of a specific procedure or process so that they can describe it, explain it, or perform the procedure themselves. This is the only speech in this course where we require a visual aid to show how the procedure is completed or how it works. When you choose your visual aid for an online class, objects seem to work very well. Similar to what you did for your mini speeches where you kind of did show and tell, you showed props of how you spend your spare time. Objects work well for a visual aid. You just want to make sure that we can see them in the video. So for example, you might be teaching us how to plant a tree. And so you would have a pot, some soil, and then the plant, and you would show us the process. You can, however, also do a PowerPoint. That is allowed. If you choose to do a PowerPoint, you may only have a total of 5 to 6 slides max. If you go over that, you will be docked. And if you're not able to actually present the PowerPoint behind you or project it, then you simply need to attach your PowerPoint with your final outline by the due date. So the instructions. Your first formal speech is designed to help you develop and practice public speaking skills. You simply need to choose a topic you know a lot about and that you have enthusiasm for. However, you need to make it interesting to a college-level adult audience, both men and women. This means I don't want you to teach us how to make macaroni and cheese or how to make brownies out of a box or teach us how to tie our shoes. We should all know how to do this as adults. I want you to be creative in your topics and thinking about what you could teach us to do that we might not already know or understand. You also need to make sure that it appeals to both genders. So it becomes very limited when we teach the class how to do nail art, which has been a popular topic in the last couple of months. You can see some examples are listed below, but overall I want you to come up with something that you already know how to do and something that you would like to teach us. Your visual aid must be an integral part of your speech, meaning it must serve a purpose. Your speech must be effectively organized, outlined, introduced, and concluded. Chapter 8 and 9 will help you with this. Make sure to check your microphone to make sure your voice is recording clearly. I must be able to hear you so I can grade you. You must use appropriate visual aids. Illegal, illicit, and/or dangerous materials such as drugs, alcohol, firearms, pornography, animals, etc. are not acceptable. Your preparation outline must be prepared and typed following the formal outline format. I have provided templates for you to use where you can pretty much fill in the blank for your outlines. Your draft outline is due early, but your final outline and note cards are due the day of the speech, which is May 31st. Your speech must be delivered extemporaneously, meaning conversational. Do not speak from your outline or a manuscript. Do not memorize your speech. It sounds too rehearsed and robotic. Please use 2 note cards for your notes. You may not look at them, but at least I see that you have them with you in case you do need to jog your memory. I want you to dress in business casual attire when delivering your speech. There's nothing more unprofessional than watching a speaker in their pajamas, and I've seen it happen. The video camera must show you from the waist up so we can see hand gestures, facial expressions, and body movements. Be sure you're not too close or too far away. And remember, you must have a live audience of at least 5 adults. And I have approved that family members are okay because some of you have emailed me individually. There will also be a group of us doing an Adobe Connect session on Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time, so we'll have a virtual live audience. If any of you are still struggling with coming up with 5 adult audience members, please email me and I will make sure to add you to that Adobe list. So what we will do moving forward is you will have an option. Option 1 is to find your own audience of 5 adults. Option 2 will be to log in with the class, but you have to commit to logging in at 7 p.m. Central Time on Sundays when speeches are due and then deliver your speech live to us virtually. So it will be your choice on how you choose to deliver your speech. This first assignment is worth a total of 100 points. Again, I have some criteria for your visual. You may use objects, but be sure we can see them. You may create a PowerPoint and attach it with your final outline. And if you have a PowerPoint, you can have 5, 6 max in case you have a title slide or a conclusion slide. You want to make sure that you use pictures and minimal text. Again, the purpose of this visual aid is to explain the process, show the demonstration of how it works. It's not to list bullet points of text. So when you look on the left-hand side here, you'll see that your first learning activity is your first informative specific purpose and central idea report. We abbreviate it SPCI for short. This assignment is due early. Please pay close note to that. This assignment is due on Wednesday, May 27th by 11:45 p.m. I will get up Friday morning, grade the SPCIs, and give you feedback on your topic. In essence, I want to make sure that you are planning your speech appropriately before you start to move forward. As you can see, this is the first informative SPCI report. The rationale simply means how did you pick this topic? So if you're teaching us how to plant a tree, maybe you tell me you like to garden. As simple as that. The general purpose has already been filled in for you. Your general purpose is simply to inform. Next, you will write the specific purpose and central idea statements. Make sure you follow the supplemental material that was attached before, because the way we teach it at UNO is a little different than our textbook. I want you to follow our examples, not the textbook, for the specific purpose and central idea. I'm going to give you an answer on this one. Your organizational pattern is chronological. All of you, everyone in class, is doing a speech that is chronological because this must be a process or a procedure speech, meaning each main point progresses after you complete one. So if I was going to teach you how to bake a cake, my first main point might be to gather ingredients. My second point is to combine them. And my last point is to bake or decorate the cake. I cannot decorate the cake until I've completed steps 1 and 2. Ideas for your visual aid are simply ideas. It may change. And ideas for the introduction or conclusion are simply ideas. Again, it may change. This form is a 10-point assignment and it allows me to approve your speech topic. Please make sure you submit it by Wednesday, May 27th, or it is a 0. The next learning activity that you have is simply a rough draft. This is not graded. However, if you do not submit a rough draft, your speech will be docked 5 points. So it will come off your speech grade. This rough draft allows me to make sure that you are outlining your speech appropriately. Again, please read Chapter 8 and Chapter 9. This will help you. As you can see, I have provided you with an outline template, which really is a fill in the blank. Notice at the top of our outlines, we have this heading information. Your name, the title of your speech, your organizational pattern, which again is chronological, and then again you write your specific purpose and central idea. This helps you as a speaker outline and start formatting your speech. Next, you write the introduction. You can see the introduction is labeled, as well as the 4 parts of the introduction that you will learn in Chapter 9. The introduction consists of approximately 4 sentences: an attention getter, an important statement, why should we learn about your topic, your credibility, simply how do you know it, and a preview statement. Next, we have the body of the speech. Make sure you fully understand outlining rules that are discussed in Chapter 8. Main points are indicated with a Roman numeral. Subpoints are indicated with capital letters, and sub-subpoints are indicated with 1 and 2, so on. You will write out a tradition sentence. Now that I have gathered the ingredients, next I will show you how to combine the ingredients. That's an example of a transition, and you would write that out. And then we follow with our second point and our third point. This is just a template. Notice that if you don't have 3 subpoints, you would simply delete these. If you need to add another subpoint, you simply need to enter and add a new one for yourself. Then we have the conclusion. Signal the close and summarize the main points. Restate why your topic was important, and then end with interest. Make sure you end memorably. Now again, this assignment does not have a grade. However, if you do not submit a rough draft, -5 points will come from your speech grade. So you'll automatically lose 5 points on your speech if you do not give me a rough draft. Your rough draft outline is due Friday by May 29th. So I will give you back your specific purpose and central idea, and then you will need to start outlining your speech. Again, it's just a rough draft, but it allows me to give you feedback before you submit your final copy on Sunday. So any corrections, any changes that you make then are submitted on Sunday when the speech is due, and that will be the final draft. So down here we have the 9 rules for outlining as a PDF you can read through, and then we also have the outline template. Notice then you'll have your final informative outline, which you will attach. This is graded. It is worth 10 points of the speech. Your note cards as well. And you can see that we have a sample note card and an actual note card template if you'd like to use them. And then just some important reminders for you to think about for your